Welcome, guys, to Lunatic Astrology, and I am your astrologer, Lori Lothy, and today we're talking about the moon in Cancer that is happening on the 17th of January, and this is an important full moon for the world. It is bound in the beauty of a mystic rectangle that's connected to the north and south node, and it can bring a healing, a binding of the tension of opposites, a balance, an ease, and a greater form and structure to each of our lives as well as to the world. The good news about the moon is so amazing. It's on a very powerful star called Procyon. It's on the asteroid Volcano, which is about power. And, you know, there is a quality here that it does have a little eruptive energy, but I feel it's positive eruptions of goodness in Cancer. And the moon will help all of us, I feel, recover a sense of stability, ease, and groundedness in our lives as we've lived through a time of great hardship and difficulty. A mystic rectangle in a natal chart, which I'll be showing you what it looks like in my sky, is a really incredible aspect pattern that brings stability and structure and kind of a deep power to accomplish things in life, even when things are tense and opposite. It's also very balanced in its masculine and feminine energy. Now, before I talk about how that works for the collective and then each of your signs based on your rising, your sun, and your moon, a couple of notes to file. Please consider liking my channel if you're listening for the first time. I would love if you would be one of my subscribers and all of that. Subscribe, like, hit the bell for notifications. I just crossed a $3,000 subscriber mark. Yay. And we're hoping to double that for 2022 and go to 6,000. I want to share these earrings are made by a local designer where I live in Vancouver, Canada, and her Etsy shop will be below. I'm wearing these during the entire Venus retrograde. They're emerald green like Venus, and I'm honoring Venus during her retrogradation. And the last thing I want to say is I have a lot of stuff on sale. Check my description box below. If you want to hear the all signs 2022 forecast, each video is more than an hour long, up to 75 minutes. So you can grab that down below. Well, the full bundle, $47. That's your sun, your moon, and your rising sign. If you can listen to all 12 signs, share with friends and family, or grab each one for only $14.95 or $15. And the good news is, if you sign up for my Cosmic Moonshine subscriber only weekly forecast newsletter, and the link is below, you'll get an immediate discount code for 30% off any reading with me, plus 30% off that particular all signs bundle or each individual reading. Okay. Let's get going. I just adore this moon because I feel it's stabilizing for society. I think for each of our lives, depending on which of the 12 houses is Cancer. Don't know your houses? Check out my description box and grab my free houses PDF. But I will tell you that my feeling is that we're going to feel this is going to come through as a relief. Now, there is a moon connected to this moon, okay? So I'm going to show you the sky, and I'm going to talk about that. And don't forget, when you listen to the All Signs segment after this, listen for your rising sign. It will be the most circumstantially accurate. Then your sun and moon sign can be useful. Your sun sign would be maybe more accurate if you're born in the day, and your moon if you're born at night. I use all three when I listen to my own delineations. Now, the other element of that is you don't know your rising sign, go to astro.com or astroseek.com. Put your birth date into the calculator. You need to know your birth time. You'll see your rising sign or your ascendant when the software spits out the answer. This is what the sky looks like. Okay, guys, I want to show it to you. I want to show you what a mystic rectangle looks like as well. So here we're having, whoa, my table's moving. Here we're having the sky at the time of this particular moon, which is a full moon, right? There's a moon across from the sun opposite it. That makes it a full moon at 27 Cancer. And the last time we had a new moon in Cancer was back in July. I think it was around July the 9th of 2021. Sometimes you can connect the dots. What things were happening in the month of July in your life that may be coming to completion, fruition, or some fulfillment, okay? Second of all, you can look at this moon in the sky and realize that it's in the very late degrees of Cancer. Therefore, should you be somebody who has planets between, let's say, 24 degrees of Cancer and 29 degrees of Cancer, or Capricorn, or Taurus, or Scorpio, those are angular or 9 degrees away or across opposed, any of these energies between about 24 degrees to 29 degrees of Cancer, Scorpio. Did I say Scorpio? Sorry, reboot, starting over. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Anything between 24 to 29 degrees of Cancer and Capricorn, Libra and Aries. Apologize, guys, a little spacey after a whole day of clients, is going to feel the intensity of this positive moon more than others. In fact, everyone's going to feel it to some degree, but I will tell you that the signs that feel or get the least juice from this, for your rising sign especially, will be the people who are the Geminis of the world, Geminis, the Leos of the world. You might feel it a little bit less, okay? You're in aversion to the moon. You guys are up here. Your sun or ascendant will be in the, this relationship of an aversion or a semi-sextile. So some of you Leo and Geminis don't get as much juice from it as the rest of us do. But again, everyone gets juice from it. And if you have planets in those degrees that I just mentioned, and you are in any of those signs I just mentioned, a particularly intense positive flow. Okay, so why I like this for the world, a mystic rectangle is like what it looks like, guys. You're seeing a rectangle and it's binding the tension of opposites. Now, in this case, the energy of a full moon is already in opposition. It's binding the tension between the Cancer and the Capricorn energy, and it's binding the tension on the other direction between the South and North node. If you know anything about the idea of oppositions, they're tension energies or difficulties or places of tension. And so if you think about it this way, a lot of tension is getting sweetened up by flowing harmonious energies called sextiles. Sextiles are the nature of Venus, and trines, which are the nature of Jupiter, and both of those are benefic planets. Sextiles are these blue lines 60 degrees apart between this case the sun and the south node, the north node where eclipses happen, and the moon. And you can see that Ceres, the goddess of the harvest, the cornucopia, the abundance and the grains and all of that good stuff, is also here. In the United States natal chart, this north node Ceres Uranus energy up here is happening in the US Sibylle chart in the house of the United States workforce and livelihood and workplace stuff. And that looks like a lot of increase going on there with the North Node Ceres. So that could be like a lot of good employment figures or people coming back to work or some good news about the economy maybe, but the workforce news that could be coming out or developments there that are positive over the next, by the end of the month from this particular moon. So by mid-February. That's different than the stock market. I'm talking about like the workforce and the daily work and the people who do the work and stuff like that. All right. But in each of our lives, we're going to feel something really powerful happening because of this mystic rectangle. And we'll be going into all signs to talk about your version of it. Okay, the last thing I want to say, I guess, is that looking at this mystic rectangle, I've added a couple asteroids. As you know, Ceres is harvest, cornucopia on the north node in Taurus, a big inflammation of that energy. Now, I will say one thing, Ceres rules foodborne illnesses and the north node expands what it touches. And there is oppositional energy from the north-south node. It could maybe be a breakout of some kind of food poisoning or contaminated foods. You know how they do that every now and then, like they pull romaine lettuce off the shelf for a while. That could happen during this month after the moon, but not necessarily, but it could. I do want to also bring your attention to Pluto. That's a planet right here on the sun, right? The sun is here with the oppositional energy to the moon. So the moon is opposite Pluto, and the moon is also opposite Juno, the goddess of agreements and partnerships. Now, I would expect this could lead to some death of a partnership for some of us, but it will be, in the end of it, a good thing, found in the flowing harmony, and harmony is stabilizing energy of a mystic rectangle, even though if a partnership in love or a partnership in business or collaboration and those things comes to an end, Pluto, Juno, kind of death of partnership, a moon opposing, there's this quality of the moon could shine the light into your visible awareness or the world about the end of some agreements, partnerships, and alliances in your life. So let's go ahead and do the all signs. And again, I'm happy with this sky. I really like it. I just simplified for everyone to see the rectangle, but to me, it's very positive. FYI, Uranus will go direct the day after this moon is happening. So I will touch a little bit on that, but not too much, but I'm doing the whole Uranus direct video for the all signs anyway. So just to know, things that were stuck since August when he went retrograde in Taurus in your sky will be freeing up. Yes, I think I'll save that for the next video. All right, because I don't want this one to be extra super boringly long. All right, don't forget, like and subscribe, check my description box. Please, be willing to hit the bell for notifications. And when I post something, apparently you get notified. All right, I'm going to stop that share so you're not looking at that and you're looking at me with my beautiful backdrop. It's kind of fuzzy, but it's crabby Cancer with a moon. And I don't know, I pulled it off of something on the internet. I think it's okay to have done that. I just thought it was so pretty to match my purple, and I'm wearing lipstick because I'm honoring Venus retrograde with my fancy earrings and pearls. Why pearls? I'm wearing a lot of pearls on my arm, freshwater pearls, because it's Capricorn moon energy. It's all about that. And Cancer moon, and Cancer is in her home sign. I mean, the moon is in her home sign, Cancer. So it's a very strong moon. All righty, let's go ahead and talk about each sign, starting with Aries, how this will affect you in the couple of weeks after the moon. But in essence, I've always kind of found it really does run a little longer, And this, by the way, I mentioned Procyon. That star can bring courage and daring and, power to what it touches. And it's right on that moon. So we all have a bit more courage and daring and all of that going on for each of us. Okay, so bear with me, dudes and dudettes. Okay, I'm just minimizing one of my screens and let's get rolling. I'm gonna have a little sip of my water. And we're gonna start with the Aries people. You just have to give me a minute. I'm just adjusting my screen to Aries on my back end of my software. Wow, and it's moving slowly. Give me a minute. All right, here we go. Aries, you sun, moon, and a rising. Always look at your rising first, so you can check your Aries sun and moon, reminding you if you have planets between, let's say, 24 and 29 degrees of Aries, your sun, your moon, your rising especially, you really are going to get a lot of juice from this really stabilizing, positive, mystic rectangle of a new moon. Now, it's a fleeting energy, the mystic rectangle, right? Because the moon has to help complete it. But it does bake in a vibration for the entire couple of weeks that follow as we wait for the next moon cycle. So you're going to get a lot of that vibe going on here. I would also say for you guys, number one, the most important thing to note is where the moon is happening in your sky, right? Where do you get this energy showing up during the lunation? And it's in your fourth house, and your natal fourth house is your house of your home, like where you live, the nest that you're sitting in. And honestly, this could very well indicate that quite a few of you guys are going to move or find something very auspicious happening around it in your home, a fullness, a completion, and a fruition. Now, I want you to go back to July and ask yourself, Aries people, what were you doing in July that had something to do with home, land, and real estate, nesting, and domestic life? I'll give you my example. During that moon, right, new moon, back in July, I moved across the country from Montreal to Vancouver and settled into the place where I'm talking to you now, a girlfriend's apartment that I'm renting during this time. So, it's very literal. And now, will this mean for me that this moon that's full will bring completion to where I'm living and also maybe shine a light into a new place, a new opportunity for me? Very possibly. Things to do with your mother are really highlighted, whether she's alive or not, Aries, because the fourth house is a house of the mother and the ancestral family line. And this is where this moon is occurring. So ask yourself that question. What ways is your mother and your relationship to your mother in some way highlighted during this particular couple of weeks after this lunation? You may find that suddenly your mother is a prominent part of your narrative for some reason. Lastly, if you need to ancestrally clear and dump out some of the ancestral stories that no longer serve you, this moon can help shed light on which ways you learn things growing up or from your family of origin or your ancestors that aren't yours to carry or believe or follow. All right. Sorry, my whole table's shaking. I'm on a stand, like this really funky stand that I bought on Craigslist when I first moved. It's kind of like a wobbly drafting table. All right. I think I'm shaking still. Alrighty, anything else I'd like to say? No, that's about it. I'm really enjoying that moon for my own sake, and the balancing of the tension of all that energy that comes from the nodal axis of for us, the north and south node are in our Aries folk, in our second house of earnings and our eighth house of investments and investment monies and stuff. And there's a lot of us, Aries rising especially, but sun and moon, who are really going to pick up our financial earnings pace in the next couple of years with north node eclipses through our second house. That means increase of possessions, increase of earnings flow, all of that. So there's this energy about the stabilizing of the mystic rectangle, allowing us to stabilize our earnings and our money story, while we also maybe receive some blessings around the theme of home, while at the same time, with the sun in the 10th house with Pluto and the goddess of agreements, I guess I could probably predict that some people who are Aries will end a job, a career, 10th house direction, and or establish an end to some partnerships in business or in your work life. And for some of you, it could be a new partnership. Sometimes Pluto, Juno, Sun could meet a very powerful new alliance or partnership in your work life, teaming up with another or signing a lucrative contract in the work environment. Okay, so let's keep moving and let's keep this at a decent pace. All right, Taurus, welcome. Sun, moon, and rising, especially rising sign. So the lunation, this beautiful full moon in the late degrees of Cancer, is happening in your third house, and reminding you, if you are a Taurus and your sun or your moon or your rising sign is anywhere in the 24 to 29 degrees, you're really getting a lot of this lunation working in your chart, working for you. This is a sextile from your house of your identity to the moon. And so you get a lot of love and energy flow for that from this particular moon. It also really strengthens your marriage partnerships and your business alliances, and even your marketplace and audience and clients if you need that or have that stuff going on in your life, because it trines that part of your sky. So one thing I'd say, volcano is there. Volcanics can be explosive. If you have a blow up with a sibling, the third house, an aunt, uncle, or cousin, this could be very refreshing and restabilize a relationship. You also have Procyon, courage and daring, in the house of short-term trips and travel, courageous trip coming up, trains, planes, and automobiles, and moving around the local neighborhood, cafes and movie theaters and stuff like that. A lot of goodness is shining up in that part of your sky. Go back to July and remember what you were doing then when the new moon seeded something new. So I'm thinking of my Taurus daughter, who in July was nesting in a new home in their local neighborhood, but also got a job in a restaurant. And restaurants and coffee shops belong to the third house. Things to do with learning, especially skills-based learning, are amplified during this moon. And if you're going to learn something new, you may have already tiptoed into those waters as far back as July of 2021. I would say that you might experience a real expansion of your identity from this moon, as the North Node and Ceres are in the first house, and they are in that sextile relationship to the moon, really helping you feel stronger, better about yourself, kind of expanding and growing your sense of goodness about your identity, your health, your body. And at the same time, your primary relationship gets a bit of love as well. With Pluto, Sun, and Juno in your ninth house of higher education, foreign trips and foreign lands, book publishing, publications in general, and God, truth, wisdom, spirituality, and faith, some of those things get really amplified in the couple of weeks after the moon. Now, because Pluto, Sun, Juno opposite this moon in the ninth house is like a stellium trio, there's a lot of weight in that ninth house. And so for some of you Tauruses, if you're going to higher education environments, there's a lot of intense energy between that moon and this higher educational direction. Pluto up there on the sun, you may find a dramatic rebirth or redefinition of your studies. And, those are all possibilities. Finally, if you are planning to go into any court cases, the sun is in the house of courts and judges and stuff like that with Pluto and Juno. With the light of the moon in the third house, you could benefit from using a scryer, a crystal ball gazer, or a seer. Those are house of goddess things. The moon is in its joy for you Tauruses in the third house. And if you want to consult psychic advice or oracular guidance right now, you can really benefit not just for legal affairs, but for anything in your life. Moon in its joy in the third house. Yay! Moving forward. Hello there, you Mercurial, Gemini, rising, sun and moon people. With this moon in your second house, it's about the money, honey. You are stepping into a time in a couple of weeks that follow this January 7th lunation into greater power around your finances. Now, you are one of the signs in aversion to the moon. So it's kind of less impacting you. It may even feel sometimes like there's good money news, but you're not making the hustle for it to happen. It may come through all kinds of seemingly incidental things outside of your control, or not, I'm not sure. But if you definitely want to increase your money, that the light of the moon, fullness and completion and harvesting can harvest some money. Now, The second house is possession. So you could sell a piece of furniture, a car, you could sell a boat, you could sell your home. Things that you want to get money from that you own can come with this moon in a very positive way. I do think that with the energy of the North Node and the South Node in your 12th and 6th house, kind of, helping this mystic rectangle come into formation, it's certainly for a lot of you Geminis, it's time to let go of your self-defeating habits and addictions and patterns that you have in your life that you undo yourself, and to focus on ways to be more conscious of your sabotaging patterns, especially around maybe health things that you do that are unhealthy for you. You definitely have a bit of a transit challenge coming up with the South Node going through the house of sickness over the next year and a half. You may encounter some health challenges. It's not trying to necessarily take you out of commission, but you will have to focus more on your health in the next year and a half. This mystic rectangle is initiating the beginning of that question. Do I focus enough on my physical well-being and your mental health as well? With the Sun, Pluto, and Juno in your 8th house, right, opposite this moon, there's a lot of intensity going on around the house of inheritances and bank loans, and there's a lot of stuff up there. Anyway, Venus is going through their retrograde, but I'm not going to talk too much about her now. Just know that it's like the lunation is trying to open up something in that 8th house of spousal money, shared money, inheritance money for you. Pay attention then to very much to what goes on in your shared resources corner. The moon in the second may help shed light on things that may have not been noticed by you. Pluto in Juno could say the end of that financial advisor, the end of that business partnership, the end of that money story with that other person. All right, moving on. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and rising sign. So welcome. This is all about you guys having a full moon in your house of you. This is your moon. You get one every year. Moon in her own sign, in the house of your body, house of your identity, house of the character you're playing, this caring Cancer person with deep feelings underneath and a prickly shell who takes things personally sometimes. I know a lot of Cancers. But courageously and loyally defend and support those you love. So with this energy of the moon, here in the house of your identity, if your rising sign especially is between 24, let's say, or even 23 for you guys, and 29 degrees, even the last decan, 20 to 29 degrees of Cancer, you guys are really feeling this blessing, stabilizing, powerful Procyon volcano energy in the house of your identity. This is a positive moon for you guys. And because it's also in a stabilizing, harmonious, mystic rectangle, some of the goodness that's coming into your physical, mental, and emotional well-being through this lunation is also going to be connected to supporting stories going through your 5th house of money, luck, and children, and your 11th house and romance and creativity, and your 11th house of social influence, friends as allies and benefactors, your hopes, dreams, and wishes, great gains from your career. Now, technically, warning sign for you Cancers, if you have kids and the South Node is going through your 5th house for the next year and a half, 2 years until the end of 23, this can be a weaning away from your children. Like they move out, you kick them out, you distance in your connections to them. It's like the opposite of helicoptering. It's like letting go and letting God around your kids. It's going to be more of that than anything. But at the same time, what this moon is saying in the next couple of weeks afterward is that you may really be focused quite a lot on this hopes, dreams, and wishes corridor and great gains from your career. That good spirited 11th house energy is very active. And with the goddess of harvest and abundance and cornucopia, you might start raking in some money from your chosen profession. Whatever you're doing in that 10th house career could really activate for you. Now, also, Pluto is sitting with Juno, god of death with the goddess of marriage, and the sun is there in your 7th house. And now Venus is going through there too. We're not talking about her, but she's there. This is a really gritty time for a lot of you Cancers around significant other relationships. And if you don't have one, it's maybe not as intense. Maybe after Venus goes direct on the 29th, a new person could show up in your life. But for those of you with existing relationships, you're going over old ground, you're rehashing old stuff. And Pluto, Juno, Juno takes about 5.5 years to go around the sky, and she's with Pluto, and Venus is hanging close by. Some of you Cancers may decide to end a significant relationship with the light of the full moon in your 1st house. Even if you don't end it during the 2 weeks that follow, you may come to a recognition. As full moons bring realization, right? They shed light, big, bold light of the soul, the sun in your face, in this case, in your house of you, that it's time for that relationship to close up. All right, moving on. All right, sorry, my table is so rocky, guys. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Now, Leo, you guys are receiving the energy in a place of aversion to your ascendant. So I'm more like going to say this is very subtle, especially in the 12th house. That's where the light of the moon shines. Now, go back to July. What were you doing in July that had to do with deep soul searching? That had to do with questions about the meaning of life, about enlightenment, about your dreams at night and wisdom. 11th, 12th house themes are going within, go within or go without, shining light on the deeper layers of your being, and maybe even involved a female energy of somebody sick or hospitalized, or issues with your mother that were being dealt with at the time. But with this 12th house lunation happening now, you're going to some completing fullness of things that were happening in July in that area. You have a lot of constellated power right now in your 6th house of work. And now I know you may have been working your ass off because of it, right? There's a lot of planetary energy there. Venus has been there since November 5th, will be there until the first week of March. And it's the workaday stuff, the structures and routines of your work. And Venus is retrograding, and that's going to be really sloggy. You may be working hard and feeling you're on a treadmill. You may be feeling tired physically. It's the house of sickness. A lot of intensity there. And now on this lunation, between the 17th onward for a couple of weeks, something's trying to break free here. So if you've been feeling tired, fatigued physically, overworked, stressed about those things, the full moon could really open up a corridor of new insight to how you are a participant in your own self-undoing in that area. An end, though, too. Pluto, Juno can be like an end of a contract or agreement in regards to employment or work, or you could be cutting an employee out if you're an employer because they're no longer working the way you want them to, and it's stressing you out. I think that having the North and South node in the 10th house and in the 4th house at the same time, that's binding everything in a mystic rectangle for you. It's clearly the North node in the 10th house is amplifying and energizing and propelling you to create escalation over the next couple of years. That's like an eclipse cycle that's just beginning. So you're really reaching for the gold, you're reaching high to aspire with radical reinvention, Uranus and Ceres, up there harvesting things, bringing fruitfulness and abundance to your career. And I could say that an elderly or older female energy, like grandmotherly vibe, could be supporting you in the 2 weeks that follow this lunation around career ambition. Well, the South Node is pulling you away from home as much as you might want to stay home, for instance, and like just do nothing. The South Node going through the house of home and real estate and land means, well, first one, you could sell a home or something, but it's also just like your private interior domestic home life is not the focal point. In fact, it's a place of release over the next couple of years. This moon is going to teach you a bit about that cycle by triggering that in a mystic rectangle to bring balance between work, home, career, and your own self-sabotaging patterns and habits. I cannot believe how shaky this is, guys. Are you actually seeing it shake? I'm seeing my table do this, right? Wah, wah, wah. And you're probably seeing it as a YouTube video is doing this. If it is, I apologize. Okay, it's like, wah. Let's keep going, all right? So for you guys next, I hope I've been looking at you. I've been looking at the chart. Hi, I'm back. So for next, let's go to Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. So Virgo folk, you guys are experiencing a very lovely lunation. Of course, you get it once a year. It's not something brand new, but a full moon in your 11th house of good spirit. Now, what is a good spirit house? It's like kind of a karmic rewards house. It's kind of like fairy godmothers hang out there. And you can deeply tune into what you dream for your life. Your highest hopes, dreams, and wishes and aspirations for your life sit in that 11th house, as well as great gains from your career path and friends who help you and allies as benefactors and all of that. So the full moon is shining light in that part of the sky, and it's creating a lot of momentum around some ideas of really expanding your dreams and shining a light into what you want in your life. And at the same time, with the sun, Pluto, Juno in the opposite side of the sky in your 5th house of children, of babies, of romance, of inspiration, of artistry, you're kind of coming to some kind of critical ick there in the couple of weeks that follow. Like when I talk about romance, even if you're with somebody and it's about sexuality, you may be kind of having some tension between that part of your sky and the part of your sky that also represents your larger friendship groups. You may be really attending to socializing and connecting with others over intimate sexual connections with partner, for example. But because Pluto, Juno, Sun are condensed together in the late degrees of 24 to 27 degrees of Capricorn, please watch out for calamitous energy that could suddenly end the romantic relationship. This is less applying to more committed love stories as it is to dating things coming to a shrieking close. Now, if your Virgo sun, moon, and rising is between the degrees of around 24 to 29 degrees of Virgo, like my daughter, you're really getting some goodness from this. This lunation is applying towards your ascendant and it's moon in its own sign. So really good for your vitality, your physical health, really good for some lucky breaks, favors from friends, any kind of thing like that. And also just a feeling of well-being. With the North Node in your house of higher education, along with Uranus, and the South Node in the skills-based education, or your North Node in the house of publications and foreign lands and foreign travels, and the South Node in your third house of local travel, there's a big amplification between January 17th at a couple of weeks, could even go a month, around maybe planning a foreign trip, around escalating positive new directions and exciting change in the house of universities and campuses. And if you happen to be a Virgo who writes, and most of them do, this is good news for getting an agent, a publisher, or expanding something in the area of book publishing or publications. Alrighty. I like this one a lot with that applying sextile, the nature of Venus from the lunation to your ascendant, especially as I said, 20, let's say the last 10 degrees of, let's go 20 to 29 degrees Virgo, you're really getting a lot of love in the couple of weeks that follow this lunation. This is one of the most positive ones of all signs. All right, to continue our story. I'm just moving it back a bit. Yeah. Now I'm going forward again. Sorry, taking a break here. Am I slowing down? All right, Libra, sun, moon, rising sign. You guys are experiencing the lunation in the house of career. This is a full moon shining a big bright light in your career house. What were you doing in July of 2021 that was a new beginning in a career direction or work direction for you? Okay, because now you're coming to some fullness and fruiting and fruition, and you're shining bright there. You could be very bright there. You could get some celebrity. You could be like on TV, on a podcast, or you could just be awarded or rewarded or very visible in the professional realm between the 17th of January at a couple of weeks. And at the same time that this brightness is shining up in the 10th house, you're having this polarity in this mystic rectangle of the Sun, Pluto, Juno anchoring the 4th house. Now, this can be a push and pull simply between your private life and your public life, or your home environment and your work environment. But maybe there could be a change around your home, a death energy, Pluto, Juno, agreements, Sun, energy. You could buy and sell a home or make a decision to do that, or you could have a move in your home possibly in the 2 weeks that are following this lunation because of recognition about how you need to shine that career light more strongly and you need to be at a different home base. Just some thoughts. Now, I kind of feel with the South Node in the 2nd house of earned income and the North Node in the 8th, and that North Node goes to your 8th house for a couple of years, you're really kicking it up away from paycheck and earnings and money, like a job and earnings and paychecks, towards 8th house monies. That's like investment monies, parlayed monies, dividends, franchise, royalties, spousal money, business partnership money, inheritance money. You're fortifying that other kind of money that can come into your life that requires less work effort. And you're beginning to really ramp it up in the next couple of years with the eclipse cycle. And this moon in the 2 weeks that follows with that stabilizing mystic rectangle is giving you a clue about the direction that that's going to go in. With Uranus in your 8th house, you can have some dramatic changes in your longer term financial picture over the next, till 2026, but more so during the eclipse cycle as well. North Node and Uranus. Cautionary note, North Node can make you greedy and and taking risks that you don't need to take around investments. So just don't like put like all your money down on some unknown cryptocurrency and then find yourself, unhappy with that. Be cautious around risky, greedy energy around investments, but on the other hand, North Node will expand your money over the next while. And because after this moon, the Ceres North Node 8th house, you may get a grant, you may get a business loan, you may get a mortgage, you may get some kind of possession you sell and a bunch of money coming. South Node going through your second house is like sell your possession. So you may sell a home, a car, something, and you make ka-ching out of it. That's January 17th, add 2 weeks. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, the lunation is happening in your 9th house. That's a full light in the 9th house of foreign lands and foreign travel, higher education, book publishing, your beliefs and faith, what you believe, your religious beliefs and stuff like that. You're shining a full light there over the course, or the universe is over the course of the 2 weeks that follow this moon. If you are somebody with a Scorpio sun, rising, or moon, anywhere between around 24 to 29 degrees, this lunation trines you, and it's full of Jupiter juice. So it's full of luck and opportunity and expansion and hope and faith. So it's so good because, if you want to plan a trip to a foreign land in the couple of weeks that follows this lunation, things will go well, or travel and take a trip, things will go really well. If you want to apply to a college or university to go back to school, things will be very successful here. You can also kind of look at it like that 9th house is your dharma. What is the real meaning of your life? How are you going to use your skills and your gifts in this lifetime for the reason you're born and all of that, and some lights being shone in that part of your sky? Go back to July. What were you doing in July that may reflect what I'm talking about in this 9th house? Because in July, there was the new moon, the new seed that was planted in that 9th house. Now, the full moon is made by a sun across the way with god of death, Pluto, and transformation, and Juno in your 3rd house. This could be a breaking away from sibling, a breaking away from a aunt, uncle, or cousin that you don't like. It could be a change of neighborhood that's pending. And there may be some events in the 2 weeks that follow that may relocate some of you to a new neighborhood or give you an opportunity to see a new neighborhood that you might want to move to. There's definitely kind of a death in the hood vibe here. And you could also find that maybe a part of that intensity would be to break away from some agreements you made around 3rd house matters, like a short-term course or education you want to ditch so you don't like anymore. You started studying it, you don't like it, or you could make some changes around your online world, like ditch your website or something like that. Finally, there's a strong energy of that South Node going through your 1st house for the next 1.5 to 2 years, kind of completes with an eclipse in Taurus at the end of 23. Now, this energy is really about, it's very depleting. You have to be careful, guys. Scorpios, you need to take care of your health over the next couple of years. It can be very draining physically, but it's very spiritual and soulful. And you're really going deep into like surrender and release your false identity, who you're not, who are you really, And it's like Neo in the Matrix. You don't have to take a pill. It doesn't have to be so jolting. But if you think about Neo in the Matrix, it's not just about giving up the real world for the unreal world for the real. It's giving up his old identity as this like office guy into like being like a savior, for goodness sake. So you're going to have this kind of like release of an old identity, and it's like a snake shedding its skin. And that's happening for you over the next couple of years. And this lunation is giving you a clue about it, because that's mystic rectangles binding with that moon, and the South Node in your house of identity is a part of it. So Scorpio, 24 to 29 degree rising, especially feel this, but to some degree, sun and moon in those degrees as well. Now, with the North Node in your 7th house, you're up leveling your significant other relationships. If you're dating, you're going to move in. If you're moved in, you're going to get engaged. You're engaged, you're going to get married. A lot of Scorpios will find relationships thriving, significant others, business partnerships, also reaching your marketplace audience and clients as well. All areas of incredible increase over the next couple of years. Watch for the 2 weeks after this moon, to see what's going on there. And you may have seeded something that's connected to this way back in July, but you may see some kind of fruition and fruiting of abundance and flourishment of good expansive energy in your 7th house. If you have a legal contract you need to sign, and this moon is kind of working with this 7th house, any legal contracts should be flowing in your favor, okay? or been benefiting you in some way. Sagittarius, sun, moon, rising sign. Well, you guys are going to have a full moon in an 8th house setting. That's money, guys. It's money. Now, it's investment money, retirement money, 401k money. It's money that belongs to other people. It could be bequeathments, inheritances. It could be assets that are spousal, division of those assets, or decisions around increasing those assets. So the fullness of the moon in the 8th house is very much about your money world. Now, for any occultists and stuff, the moon here is going to make you very intuitive. It's going to give you a couple of weeks after where your intuition is precision sharp. It's also a great time for getting into the occult world, doing tarot, looking at astrology, figuring out the mysterious metaphysical stuff. Now, the moon shining here is in the house of secrets, so I can't not tell you that. It's very common that a secret is spilled during a full moon in the 8th house. Because it's a lunation in the sign of Cancer, which is a moon sign, even if it's a difficult revelation or secret and you learn about it, you're going to find it benefits you to know this very greatly. It's going to be a very important reveal for you. Go back as well, you Sagittarius, to back in July. What were you doing? Because that was a new moon in your 8th house. And you could be even as something as simple as you bought a stock in July and now you're going to harvest it financially in a couple of weeks that followed January 17th. I would say that your mother is the moon and the 8th house is a house of death. And I'm not telling you your mom's going to die, but I'm just saying issues with the mom and her health or all of that could be something that are coming to your attention during a couple of weeks after this lunation. The sun is in your earnings house with Pluto, Juno, a death and an intensity around the way money comes to you. You want to change your voice, vocation, earnings direction for sure. A lot of intensity of even Venus being here, retrograding. You're digging into the idea of how do I make my way in the world? Where are my resources? What possessions do I need and want? You know, Pluto, Juno, Sun, Venus, retrograde, you're reassessing your values around possessions. And some of you will sell something because of this lunation in the couple of weeks that follow, like your car, your house, you know, your prize stamp collection or something like that. With the South Node energy moving through the 12th house for the next couple of years, a lot of you Sagittarius are getting down with your addictions and your self-defeating habits and releasing them. And if enlightenment is something you're into, South Node transits through the 12th can bring illumination, liberation, and enlightenment. Now with the North Node going through your natal 6th house, okay, this is a real increase in your health, like improving your health, you know, getting rid of sickness and increasing your work life in some way. You may be working a lot, but you may be working differently because Uranus is there. New ways to do work without doing it the old way, innovative, reforming new independent and freedom energy around work, like consulting work or something like that. In the couple of weeks that follow the lunation, you may come into proximity of an idea or some new direction around that. And lastly, I think that with the Goddess of Abundance series, kind of binding with this mystic rectangle, you could get a little bit of a promotion or a little bit of a nice little money hit from the work, you know, a bonus, a promotion, a raise, I don't know, something like that going on between January 17th and a couple of weeks after. I'm getting giddy. I have been on with clients and then doing my Patreon community group and stuff all day. It's a Sunday, the 9th. I'm recording this, but you won't see this probably till Monday the 10th or even later because my Patreon, tiny but loyal Patreon community get first dibs on advance notice and early access. Oh, I'm sorry about the shaking table. Join my Patreon community, guys. It's fun. We have bi-monthly meetings and one big VIP monthly thing for tiers, the top 3 tiers. It's not expensive. It's like, you know, $5 or something. Come join my Patreon community. All right. Moving forward. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. So Cappies, this is all about your wife, your husband, your boss, not your boss, wife, your husband, your clients, maybe business partners. There's a lot of light being shone there. What was going on back in your world around your marriage partner or your business partner, or sometimes your clients and audiences in July where you were trying to seed something new, okay, new beginning. Now this fullness and fruition is here. There is a lot of intensity. If your Capricorn is a sun or moon or rising sign is between 24 and 29 degrees, you got Pluto, Sun, Juno there opposing the descendant. For some of you Capricorns, there may be intense and difficult discussions with the one you're with about whether you want to continue this relationship. You would likely be the generator of those talks. And I do feel that not all of you Capricorns will have this happen, but a lot of you may. The moon is shining light in the house of the relationship. And so therefore it is going to make you aware of parts of that relationship, significant other stuff, committed stuff that are necessarily needing to be seen. And your partner may outpicture as the moon, revealing that to you in that sense of shining the light on what's really happening. Now, if you're a single Capricorn and this is happening, you may find yourself involved with a very bright and shiny new relationship starting up because of this lunation. But you'd be aware of that person in a couple of weeks that follows. Capricorns, be careful, right? You've got a stellium going through your first house. This can be very intense and depleting physically, especially with Venus retrograde. You're probably not feeling your most attractive. She's retrograde till January 29th. She started December 19th. You might feel like you're haggard or downtrodden or physically tired or not attractive. And you may not be feeling like you're having fun, especially from November 5th to first week of March, when she's in your first house. She's trying to help you find fun. But you're Capricorn and fun isn't your thing normal. You're hardworking, stoic, and disciplined. But the retrograde itself, where she's going backwards right now, is asking you to reassess your values of what you think is important to you, especially around things to do with your identity. And so not so much your valuables like your jewelry, but what values you hold about who you are and whether you want to hold on to those or let go. So you're in a nostalgic recapitulation. And I think a lot of Capricorns may be very nostalgic about prior life stories as well as she retrogrades over the ascendant. This is especially true for 24 to 29 degree Cap, Sun and Moon. Now, I would say that with the North Node in your fifth house, you're trying your damnedest to have fun. And it's about fun, play, joy, pleasure, sexuality, creativity, inspiration, enthusiasm. This is the new you. This is coming into play through an eclipse cycle that's already going on. It does not end until 2023 October. So you are like flying and spreading some wings of joy and fun. And you may be focused more on your children, and if you don't have children, you may be wanting to have children during this window of time. And the lunation is going to activate your attention in this mystic rectangle to the house of children, house of sexuality, house of romance, and house of play, with a kind of harvest goddess at a scythe there. Now, while that can bring abundance, Ceres can bring abundance, and cornucopia, she is a scythe. She is a reaper, and she's on the North Node. Again, for some Caps, a reaping of an intimate sexual love relationship is very possible in the couple of weeks that follows, meaning an end, right? And lastly, the South Node is going through your finding this mystic rectangle, South Node in your 11th house. You're pulling away from social groups and friendship circles that once had value for you. Over the next 2 years, that's the story. And also the increase in gains financially flowing from your career are going to slow down over the next 2 years. You may have to rely on different kinds of money rather than revenue from your career. Some of you are pulling back for some reason, but you are also South Node through the 11th, also letting go of old hopes, dreams, and wishes. And so it's an emptying out, and it can be hard sometimes, but it will lead to new aspirations and hopes and wishes that are more true for who you are now. Almost done. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I'm an Aquarius. Rising with Saturn on my ascendant and the South Node. So it's totally an ashram placement. I should have been in an ashram, or I should have been in a convent or something like that, or a monastery for me. So with this Aquarius rising energy that we have, we get to experience this lunation in our house of our health protocols and our work stuff. Now it's going to be good. Go back to July. And especially, what were you doing to plant new seeds around better health? And now it was, for me, lying on the beach, doing a light physio to restore my broken, torn glute muscle. It was taking a month off with clients. I didn't work for a whole month. Why? Because I was restoring my health. Well, I'll tell you something. I'm glad I did, because then I kicked ass for the rest of the year. So taking a month off, my revenue is greater this year than it was last year. So, every now and then we have to reboot Aquarius, because we're Saturnian. So we work hard, we really do work hard, especially with Mars ruling our 10th house. We're go-getters. So what I want to say is that, with this fullness, this lunation, it's the seeds I planted, for instance, around better health and less work and loving myself up. Because don't forget, Cancer energy is to self-nurture, to self-love, to tend to oneself, to give yourself a hug, to make yourself some macaroni and cheese and comfort yourself. Well, this is about fullness and fruiting and fruition and culmination of what we began in July. So for instance, I'll give an example. Maybe me in January 17th at 2 weeks will take some time off. Well, I can't because I'm booked fully till February, but time off is some other things I thought I was going to cram in the cracks between my stuff. I was going to teach a course on 22 personal abundance astrology, but I don't think I'm going to. I don't have enough enrollers. So I'll pull the plug on that, refund people, and just relax a bit more. So there's energy here of pulling plugs around work, working less hard. Okay. This, if you're not self-employed, you may find you have some good things happening in the work environment from this full moon that may be seeded in July. Okay, some fruiting and fullness there. It's really a good time, especially with Pluto, Juno, Venus cramming up in your 12th house, and then Mars will be joining at the end of January. To let go of your addiction, self-defeating habits and patterns, and self-sabotaging behaviors. Yes, I'm writing my book called The Wine Lover's Middle Way. I own the domain, and I am practicing the art of super moderation around I love wine, guys. I'm not an alcoholic. I mean, I'm a wine lover, which makes me a gray zone drinker. Like drinking wine, with dinner every night is what I'm talking about. And I don't know that my body can do that at this age of 59. So, you might go through similar realizations or investigations of things you do that you should not still be doing, and you may continually do because it's a habit, and you may begin to unplug. There's a book called Atomic Habits I'm going to read. People recommend it to me to see what that tells me about this process, because habits that undo us are also 12th house. Well, what else can I tell you? That's about that. But the binding of the energy and the mystic rectangle as well. The North Node in the 4th house is propelling a lot of momentum towards home. And it's also been activated by Uranus. A lot of Aquarians have moved quite a bit since, let's say, 2018-19, when Uranus began to ingress into Taurus, into our whole sign 4th house. So we have the nomad transit. We're going to move a lot in between now and 26 and 2026, not just one place. And yet now the North Node is propelling a focus there for the nest, the home environment, with the goddess of the abundance and the harvest, and the South Node in the 10th house, pulling away from public life, pulling away from career, going more into our private life in the couple of weeks that follow the lunation. But for some Aquariuses, okay, January 17th at 2 weeks, we may discover a new home. We may get a lead on a new home. So that could be me, because I'm renting a place under the kindness of a friend. It's our pied-à-terre, and I'm just renting it fully furnished because I have no furniture, because I moved from Montreal. So I'm kind of in a way station, right? So I'm waiting for Uranus to go direct. And for all of you rest of me Aquarians, that happens the day after the moon. And it's not very likely we're going to move until he goes into direct motion. So we're waiting for that direct motion shift at 10 degrees of Taurus. All right, next. Last and never least is Pisces. Pisces, sun, moon, rising sign people. Don't forget, check your degree. Anything between 24 and 29 of Pisces, sun, moon, and rising, you get a lot of juice from this. In fact, it's not as intense as, because you're in an aversion to, no, you're not in aversion. Sorry, it's a lovely water trine for you. And let me just check something out here. My whole chart just went way ahead. Sorry, Pisces, I'm not trying to undo you. I just want to double check something. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I advanced the chart like decades ahead. You can only do this if you're me, right? I am this is what I do. Okay, now back in the game. There we go, Pisces. Sorry about that. So Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. I keep talking about you, but not talk about you. So the lunation is in your 5th house, and it's water trining your ascendant. So you have a Cancerian water house, 5th house, and you have the watery you. Okay, so again, 24 to 29 degrees, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising, get a lot of juice from this. Okay, opening up the floodgates of creativity, hearing your muse, getting inspired to paint, draw, write, sing, dance, make music, getting more vital and more life-affirmed energy, vitality, solar energy coming through, inspiration and enthusiasm, a little more play, a little more fun, a little bit more joy and pleasure, maybe a better connection to your children. So this is, if you're a Pisces who wants to have a child and the moon is in this like fruiting place of fulfillment, you may conceive a child in this journey through the couple of weeks after the lunation on, the 17th, add 2 weeks. Now, with this energy, you've got the sun and Pluto and Venus and Juno in your 11th house. It really does pull you away from your social, visible world stuff. Like the 5th house is like the artist studio, and the 11th house is the gallery where you want to share your stuff and have a big party. So you're kind of pulling away from the big social efforts to be out in the world, and you're pulling inwards to this more intimate 5th house, muse inspired energy in the couple of weeks after this. And I don't think you're going to be very active in the public life. In other words, you also can say that you may have some ongoing desire to reinvestigate Pluto, Juno, Sun, Venus, then Mars joining the fray. Redo your hopes, dreams, and wishes. Reinvestigate and reform what you're doing in this world in terms of your aspirations for your life. And the couple of weeks after the moon, you'll be going through some of that question mark. The mystic rectangle is finding a south node, north node axis through south node in your 9th house of guides, mentors, being a mentor guide, having them, higher education, foreign lands, foreign shores, publishing and stuff. Now, south node through the 9th house can be a loss or surrender around the concept of foreign land. I'm going to give you an example. My sister's a Pisces rising. She lives in the United States. She's a Canadian. She may, because of the south node going through the 9th house, which will be happening for 2 years, lose, let go, release the United States, a foreign land, right? So there's possibility for things like that. If you have an apartment or a place or something in a foreign land, it could be surrendered or released in the next couple of years for a lot of Pisces connections to foreign lands. But also this is book publishing, this is higher education. You're surrendering or releasing that area, and you're moving into a propulsion of the 3rd house, writing, skills-based learning or teaching, short domestic trips and travel, new neighborhoods, right? So you're moving into that direction. So in the lunation fallout of the 2 weeks that follow, first of all, go back to July. What were you seeding in July to do with creativity, the muse, inspiration, joy, and all that, and your children? But also with this couple of weeks that follow the moon, the sense of an increase in 3rd house things, a better neighborhood, a deep activation of your writing ability, an upkick in your entrepreneurial skill sets and your writing, marketing, and selling skills, things like that. Siblings are your 3rd house, aunts, uncles, and cousins, and there's increase here, and there's abundance here, series, so increasing your connection to your siblings, benefiting from your siblings as well, not just increasing your connection, but benefiting as well from your siblings. You could find siblings, aunts, uncles, and cousins are a great source of nurturance and nourishment in the couple of weeks that follow the lunation. All right, thanks for listening to all of these signs. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh, it's getting really dark here. I just realized I lost the light. I look kind of gray now. It's getting late. It's 4:30. I think the sun is setting in Vancouver, Canada on January the 9th. Mwah.